at a moral conversion, we did it because we had to. And then all the civil rights, all the advances we've seen are the product of interest convergence, right? So it kind of sobers us up. We understand that race isn't real, that it's a social construction.
Explain that to me. It is a social construction. Race isn't real. Now, I think that's hard for it's hard for me to understand exactly what that means.
Right. So it's hard to understand it because it feels real, right? It looks real.
Well, I know that, for example, you had this guy, Christopher Rufo. I hate to keep going back to him, but he's Italian American.
Yes.
So he says, well, I'm Italian American. I'm not white. I go, you're white. Because when people see you, they go, you're white.
Exactly.
And so that's a social construction because maybe Italians weren't considered white.
They weren't. Neither were
when
Irish.
They first came here.
Yeah, neither were Irish, right? And we could look at people from.
And how white are the fucking Irish, by the way? They're really white.
That's the irony of it, right? When they came here, it's like, they don't get membership, But the idea is to say that there are biological things. All right, the biological difference between me and you is minuscule, if not infinitesimal. Right? There's no real biological difference between black people and white people, right? That's not the issue. There are phenotypic differences among different types of people. I have different hair than you. I have different lips, et cetera, right? That's biological and that's real. That's what people look at when they say, "Oh, race is real." I can tell a black guy when he walks in the room. Of course you can, right? That's not the issue. The idea of categorizing people by those differences is something that we haven't always done, and it's not something that we necessarily do in the same way in every society. If I went to the Caribbean. If I were in the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, there might be 10 different ways that we categorize people by color that wouldn't be the way we do in the United States. There are countries we could go to where people get racialized and they look exactly the same, So, but there are other things we do that force people to see themselves as a different race. And so the idea here is that it's not that race is real and some people are just like racist. It's that the very idea of categorizing people and dividing people by any sort is itself an act of race. Race is created by racists, not the other way around, ironically. And so when we say race is a social construct, it means that the meanings we attach to it. Mm-hmm. It's like we would say with gender, right? When a baby is born and we decide to paint the room blue, there's nothing about babies that like the color blue, right? But
Are you sure?
I am.
Okay.
But the idea is, if the moment the baby's born, we give them blue and we give the girl pink, then at some point they start to think that those are boy and girl colors. That's the social construction. But some of the social meanings we give them are constructed. And it's the same thing with race. And so in America, what makes us different is being white or non-white, right? Either you're white or you're not. White is the club that everybody wants to get into. The velvet rope is right outside of whiteness. And everything else is we're trying to get. When Arabs came here, they were characterized as non-white. They fought to be characterized legally as white, which has come back to bite them in the ass now. As you see in all the census fights. Again, Irish people were outside of whiteness until they weren't, and that's different than ethnicity. And that's what me and Rufo were arguing about, and that's the point that I'm making. Yeah, we all have different ethnicities, right? You can be Irish, you can be Italian, you can be whatever, right? But race is something different, and race is determined by power dynamics. That's why when you ask a white person, what do you love about being white? Because he was saying that I define whiteness as something negative. And my point is, whiteness as an idea is a construction of power. Not being Italian. You can name a million things you love about being Italian. You can name a million things you love about being Russian. Maybe not this week, but like in general, like you can name a million things you love about being Russian. But it's really tough to say what you love about being white unless you're talking about the things that you get that people who aren't white don't get.
In DC public school system, they got some training, and she said, "Dad, when you leave a store, do you absolutely know where your receipt is?" And I said, "No." She said, "That's the difference."
Yes.
If you're black, you go into a store and buy something, you kind of want to know where that receipt is.
I keep it in my hand.
That to me is really vivid and very clear.
Right.